Love, light, and blessings. Shamanic Awad Priestess here, and I wanted to make this video today because my videos have been very heavy lately. I've talked about being an ally to marginalized people, Black Lives Matters. I've talked about indigenous issues with people of color. I also did a follow-up video in ways that you can help with the fights, outside of marching and, posting, Black Lives Matters in your social media and things like that. So I wanted to offer, other ways in which you can help, because a lot of people are asking me that. Right now, I'm lighting my extra rich flowering cactus incense. I love it. I got this at Walmart for 94 cents. It's such a beautiful scent. Like I had said previously, I literally had my daughter come downstairs. Mom, what's that scent? Because it was so good. This video is going to be more light. This video is going to be tarot, Lenormand, cartomancy related. I might actually break this video down into 2 parts depending how long this video gets. So I wanted to have a chit chat today, and to also announce that I'm going to be doing officially my classes start this week. I have 3 different classes that I'm giving right now, on top of my readings, on top of my shamanic healings and spell work that I'm doing for clients. This is why I'm not taking on any new clients, and I've already talked about that in other videos, that aren't clients that I've already worked with. They're just specifically coming to me for spell work because I already have a waiting list for people that have been with me since day one, and I feel like I need to give priority to them. Also, outside of YouTube, I do social work. I'm all about social justice. I'm an activist outside of YouTube, and so I'm also using my magical practices to protect the people, I'm not going to mention their names, that are in the forefront, that are public figures, that I actually work for, that literally come to me for spiritual guidance. I'm covering them with my magic, making sure that they're protected, because a lot of times when you are an activist, they can attack you. The government can attack you. It's happened. Look at Martin Luther King. Look at Martin Luther King. Look at the things that happened to Malcolm X and things like that. So I also want to use my magical practices to protect those people that are out in the forefront. I want to pray over the protesters, and things like that. So, and on top of that, like I said, I'm doing stuff for clients and my family members and things like that. I have a brother who's Black that I want to continue to pray for and protect and things like that. And I'm also trying to help someone who recently came to me. I'm not going to get into it too much, with legal issues that they are experiencing, and I've also contacted some people to see if they could help her, help them and her and the people around the situation from a legal standpoint, and me helping them magically. So there's just a lot of things that I'm doing, and for that reason, I'm still going to do my readings. So feel free to book readings for me if you've always wanted to do a reading with me or healing with me. That's going to continue to be open, despite the fact that I'm very busy. However, I am going to take a little bit of a break from making videos. I will be returning in July, but I just need to take a couple of weeks off from making videos on YouTube, because my classes, I also make videos for those classes and things like that. I have to dedicate time to people who are paying for my services. I want to make sure I give everything with my classes, my readings, and the services that I offer, and also to help the social activists and the movements that I'm doing outside of YouTube. So I am going to be taking a little bit of a break from YouTube and social media, but I will be answering emails. Another thing too, anybody who's booked me yesterday and today, I'm not going to respond to you most likely until either Sunday night or Monday, because I have a lot of things I need to do. So even though I'm technically supposed to be off this weekend, I have to get things ready for my classes that start tomorrow, getting the materials out between Sunday and Monday. So for those of you that booked my June ancestral veneration workshop, my angel workshop, my paranormal workshops and things like that, I'm going to be giving out those materials this month. So this is why I'm going to take a little bit of a break from YouTube. I have a lot of work to do, a lot of work to catch up on, a lot of emails to catch up on. Anybody who's recently emailed me, I'm going to email you most likely Sunday night or Monday morning, because I have a lot of material to send out throughout the weekend. I also have to go food shopping today, so I have a lot of stuff I have to do. And that's another thing too. I need these next couple of weeks off, so that my free time, I'm not worried about making videos or things like that, but instead like spending family time and working on other things that I want to write. I have other classes that I want to make in the future, and I need to have that time to create and to write. So so nothing is wrong. I'm going to I'm going to be back in July. I just need a little bit of a break at this time. Okay, so with that being said, let's get into this video. So this video is oh, another shout out. I want to thank my client who got me this beautiful money tree. They know who they are. It is beautiful. Thank you so much. This came all the way from Europe, so thank you, thank you, thank you. So appreciated. So I wanted to talk in this video about cartomancy. I've talked numerous times about how I started divination, reading the elements. So doing divination through water, in a clear glass cup, reading fire when I would light candles, or I would just do any type of fire workings. So when I'm lighting fires and things like that in cauldron, or burning incense or resins or voodoo powders or anything like that, reading that type of fire, communicating to the spirits and the ancestors through that, and things like that. Then when I started using tools for divination, I started using playing cards. So the Spanish cards I did use, the barajas, but I mainly used regular playing cards. So this was my first deck, not this deck of playing cards, but this was my deck, and I would do very elaborate readings with this and things like that. And I did professional readings and things like that, and I did a video about how I evolved to other systems and things like that. But I have never lost my love for cartomancy. And when I'm reading tarot, I use a lot of the ways that I read playing cards in reading my tarot cards. I was really excited to see that deck creators were creating a little bit of more of a tarot mixed in with cartomancy, like this one, playing cards deck. I love it. I have used this deck as well for client readings. So the major arcana are illustrated. Beautiful artwork, created by Dead on Paper. And I have saw this deck on Kelly's and Truth and Story years ago, and Soul's Journeys channel. So she did a walkthrough of it, and I was like, I remember that deck. I didn't know it was still in print, and I ended up getting it and excited. So the court cards are also illustrated. But I love this deck so much. I love that the minors are just regular playing cards and things like that. So I've used this deck as well when I've done readings for my clients and things like that. So I incorporate a lot of numerology into my readings as well, and I like cartomancy for that. Yeah, so I think that's why I have my own little unique style of reading, because my first love was playing cards, and I love these types of decks that have a mixture of tarot with cartomancy, because I love tarot. Like, playing cards and tarot are my favorite forms of divination, honestly, and things like that. I read directional, I read I just love it, and things like that. I think that's why the reason why I'm making this video is I discovered that I have a certain type of style of deck that I like to read professionally with. So I'll take modern decks and read them for myself, and decks that are busy, and I'll do a 3-card pull, and I'll pull one oracle card, and I'll journal with them. And I work with those types of decks that are more modern, in a more personal way. What I notice when it comes to whenever I've used a deck for professional readings, and I have a very short list of those, I notice that they have certain things that I like, and so therefore other decks are deal breakers for me. So like I said, I've read with Dead on Paper, I've read with Cartomancy, I've read with this one as well professionally. This is the Brut Tarot. I saw this deck in Juliana Hoffman's channel. This also is illustrated with the Major Arcana, and then the Minor Arcana is beautiful. There's no faces in this one. Look at the World card. It's gorgeous. The Minor Arcana is just regular plain cards. So I even like this even better than Dead on Paper, because this is like what I grew up with. This is what I am used to. And then you have your, you know, your court cards, and things like that. So I love the way that they incorporated tarot with Cartomancy. I do a lot of magical workings and things like that with playing cards. I use it a lot for myself and clients and things like that. So that's the aspect that I'm coming from. Just, you know, illustrated Major Arcana, very simple, clean Minor Arcanas, reading more from a numerology, reading more from a directional, and things like that. Not really, and also someone who reads organically. I don't read with very specific spreads and things like that. So when I moved on to tarot, I noticed that I like clean, I like clean decks. I like decks that's are traditional. So I guess the reason why I like this deck so much is there's really not too much going on in the pictures, right? Like, it's just simple to me. It's not busy. I'm not distracted by the artwork. Even though the Minor Arcana is illustrated, I don't find this artwork busy or distracting to me. And I got used to this symbology, because even when I wasn't necessarily using the Pamela Coleman Smith artwork or her deck to do professional readings with, I was learning on like Hanson Roberts, which is a clone, and it's very close to this type of style of deck. It has a lot of the symbology and things like that. So, you know, I notice that that's the type of deck style that I like when it comes to professional readings, which is a whole different thing for me, because my readings are time sessions. So I have to be able to connect quickly. You know, as soon as, you know, the reading starts, you know, I've already did what I had to do in order to connect and things like that. So I have to be ready to go. So, you know, one of the first decks I've learned on when it comes to regular tarot was decks like this. Even though I did learn on like the Psychic Tarot, the Psychic Oracle, sorry, or the Psychic Tarot Oracle, I think that's what it's called. I forgot the name of it right now. Because it's the Psychic Tarot of the Heart, and then this the Psychic Tarots. That was more like an oracle, and it had like keywords, so I was able to intuitively read that one because of the keywords. But when I went to more traditional tarot, I find that traditional, so in this Renaissance time period, I connect deeper with the ones that keep most of the symbology intact. I find that when it comes to professional readings, decks that are too modern for me, I don't necessarily connect to them on the same level, on the same deep level. You know what I mean? I don't have that connection like I have with the Hanson Roberts, Rider-Waite Smith, decks that I usually do. Like I said, my professional reading with. I've tried to do professional readings with modern decks, and I just wasn't feeling it. You know, I just wasn't feeling it. It doesn't mean that I can't read with those decks. It just means that when it comes to a professional atmosphere, I'm just not gelling with it. And I always want to make sure that when I'm reading professionally, I'm using the tools that I connect with the most. Yeah, so pretty much, like I was saying, like I just got used to these traditional symbology, even though yes, I read with the Angel Tarot, but that was again for myself, right? I had Psychic Tarot, and I also had Psychic Tarot of the Heart. That's what I was doing professional readings with. I was using cartomancy. Then, you know, I went to Robbinswood. Even though that's very pagan based, it still had, so even when the artwork isn't as clonish as, let's say, the Hanson Roberts or the Morgan Greer, even though there's a little bit, some of the artwork, like some of the drawings aren't exactly like Rider-Waite Smith. They're more close up, and like the Nine of Swords is a different image, because in the Morgan Greer is like hands tied against a sword. I can still read that, because I noticed also another deal breaker for me is when decks rename the major arcana. When decks, when we're going to like traditional tarot, when decks, the title cards aren't so, they're not there. So basically, like the Orisha Tarot, I've never read with that one professionally. I use it a lot for self-work, because the title cards and the coloring on that is so busy that if I'm doing a professional reading, I can't hone in on what the meaning, yes or no answers or that kind of thing, because I can't even see the title cards, and I get lost in the artwork. So when decks are just like too busy, or the artwork is too distracting, I notice I can't give you that same level of accuracy and the type of readings that I'm known for. So I tend to like more clear and simple types of decks for readings. I notice I also can't do abstract, so just symbols and squiggly. I can't do that. I appreciate the artwork, but I can't, like, it's just, that's not the type of reader I am. I do a lot of general readings. I do a lot of live readings. I don't pre-record readings. I don't do video readings. So I don't even know what you guys are going to ask. There's no prep in the sense of preparing myself for questions. I don't like reading that way. I'm a very traditional person. When you book with me, like, we just go with it. And you ask, and we just do, and we go from there. And, you know, you'll get your time frames, you'll get your predictions, you'll get, maybe there's things you can do to change the outcome of things. Like, we'll just do the whole reading. And so I just noticed that I'm the type of person that, when it comes to my professional reading decks, I'll read with the Orisha Tarot for myself. I'll read with modern decks for myself when it's a 3-card pull, and I could just sit with those 3 cards and journal and do more of that type of reading that's more of a spiritual reading, that's not really predictive all the time and things like that. When I want a predictive reading, when I want a yes or no, I just find that the more traditional cartomancy decks, like Hanson Roberts, the Rider-Waite Smith decks, are the decks that I turn to. But then I've also read with decks, and I have a strong connection to, let's see, okay, yeah. So like we talked about the Rider-Waite Smith, decks like this one, where I literally, these are not traditional meanings. Like, these are not the traditional artwork. Like, this is not what, you know, this is not your basic, like, fool's card. There's no dog. He's, you know what I mean? So when I first got this deck, it took me a while to, like, first connect with it. And then one day I had a dream, and all of a sudden this deck started talking to me, because I got it for my daughter. And I ended up liking the artwork, so I ended up buying myself a copy. No, I'm sorry. I got a copy. My daughter liked the artwork because I was getting ready to get rid of it. And so I bought her a copy. She got it around Christmas time, a lot of years ago. Maybe 3 years ago, something like that. And she was like, Mom, it's a really nice deck. So one day, like I said, I had a dream about it. And all of a sudden I picked it up because I had it like, I used it one time. I was like, I'm just not feeling this deck. And then all of a sudden the deck was just talking to me and things like that. And I was ready to read with it, and I understood it completely, and things of that nature. So yes, I can read certain decks, and they connect with me, and I can give a really badass reading with them. I noticed that another thing is, for certain decks that are a little bit outside of my comfort zone or things like that, is usually the spirits that give me a dream about it, and then I go and buy it, and I may sit on them for a little while, but then all of a sudden the deck speaks to me and things like that. And this is one of them. And I also think too, because there's the title is there too, King of Swords. One thing I'm noticing when it comes to Los Scarabeo, so I bought the African American Tarot because I wanted to read with it professionally, and I do read with it for myself. What I noticed, one of the things that's hard for me with that one, because then I started to be able to read decks that aren't so traditional. But this deck is from a ancient, it's pagan, it's it's pre-Christianity, it's from that, like, I don't know, before Christ, I guess. So it's like ancient, like an ancient, it's supposed to be like an ancient time. I notice I connect with those decks. I don't connect with decks that are like pictures of New York City in 2016. I don't know why, I just don't. Maybe it has to do with the spirits that I work with that are so ancient. I work with a lot of ancient spirits, a lot of ancient ancestors. So when I bought the African American Tarot, I was so excited. But there's no title cards. There's just like symbols. And when they don't have title cards, I have to have a title when I'm reading something like tarot. Like, I just, not that I always necessarily apply the book meanings into the reading, but I just like to see a title. Like, that's just me. If you're gonna stray away from traditional, like put new symbology, and it's like a whole new way of looking at it, it's not really like a clone to me, because it's not going by like Pamela Coleman Smith's deck, the Rider-Waite Smith, where you have the dog and you have like the symbology that I'm used to seeing. I like my title cards, especially with the court cards mostly. And so I find that a lot of people are like, oh, I don't like all those languages and stuff. It kind of annoys me when they don't have titles in those decks. That's why I stopped buying Los Scarabeo decks. I was hoping to get the older version of the African American Tarot that still had the titles on them. I like titles. I don't care how many languages it has. Title cards don't bother me. Borders don't bother me. So when they just make decks, so it's just the picture and nothing else, I don't, when it comes to professional readings, like, it doesn't jive. Because when I'm doing professional readings, again, I'm going for efficiency and quickness. I'm trying to get those intuitive hits, those psychic hits, those answers as a quick manner, because I am trying to be considerate of the money that the person is paying to do the reading, you know what I mean? So, like, the Lima is another one that I like to do professional readings with. Because even though this also isn't traditional, it has a beautiful title card right there. You could clearly see this Three of Cups. And then I go by, the art, like what the art's showing, the title, what my psychic abilities telling me, the coloration, things like that. So this one, I read it very well because it has great coloring. It has the title going on. I just don't, like, that's why I don't trim, like, title cards. And I don't like that Los Scarabeo is only doing symbols now. I can deal with the multi-languages, but I don't like when decks don't have titles. That's just not my thing. Like, I know some people purposely trim them like that and they just read the pictures, and that's fine. Everybody does their thing. I have different requirements of decks when I'm reading professionally, because again, I want to get those messages out. I want to give you your answers in a timely manner. I want to instantly connect with the messages that the guides have for you. So I was just thinking about that. But they also poses another question for me. I would love to have working decks with people that look like me. So I was talking to somebody recently, and I said, even though I read with older decks that have no diversity in them, because a lot of these decks that I'm using, the Thelema Tarot is a modern deck, but the Rider-Waite Smith, the Hanson Roberts is older already. When I was reading with Robin Woods, that's an older deck. There wasn't any diversity in them. When I was learning tarot, I learned that certain court cards can represent certain ethnic groups. And so I assigned my own meanings with my court cards. And no, I'm not going to teach you my secret method, guys. A chef doesn't give away their secret recipes, right? So certain court cards I've assigned ethnicities. With certain cards in the deck, I've assigned, so if I'm reading someone and let's say they wanting to know who a future partner is, I can give you somewhat of a description of that person because I assign meanings to my cards. I make a all white deck work for me because the ones that have diversity, a lot of them are so modern that it's really hard for me to read with them professionally. That's why when the Melanated Tarot came out, I was so excited because I'm like, I could finally read with a Rider-Waite Smith deck that has people that look like me. I am gonna find a way to make the cardstock thicker. I know someone said I can use contact paper, so I'm gonna try to see if I could do that. Make it work somehow because I would really love to use that deck in my professional readings. It just, the cardstock is so thin, it's really hard for me to shuffle. I was really excited when the Modern Witchcraft Tarot came out. The Modern Witch Tarot came out. It has the best diversity, and even though it's modern, it has enough of the traditional symbology that I can read with it, and it's clean and it's not too busy. However, the cardstock is so thick, I would have to divide the deck in half. And because I read on a time session, I read live. I don't do video readings. That's something that does not resonate with me. And the amount of readings that I do a day, so I'm doing anywhere from 8 readings back to back, so 14 readings back to back. And when you're doing appointment back to back, I don't have time to stop. I don't have time to record 16 videos a day, you know, and things like that. So this is why it makes me give my appointments in a more timely manner, but it also is less time consuming, so I can give you guys my best efforts and things like that. So recording my readings and sending them out and all that stuff, that doesn't work for me, you know, and things like that. Email readings, way too much time consuming for me as well. And I like, even if it's by phone or the person's on Skype and they don't turn on the camera, I like having that person around me. I like conversing. I like hearing their questions. I like having that connection. I find that really resonates with me, and things like that. So when I'm doing those type of readings, I just like the more ancient looking ones, the more ancient time looking decks and things like that are not so busy. I've had decks that Llewellyn has created, but the names on it is so tiny, and because it's not like traditional the way the artwork is and the way that the pictures are illustrated, I'm like, what card is this supposed to be? Again, when I'm reading in a time session, I don't have the luxury of like just sitting with the artwork. I have to get these questions out. The clients are paying for answers, quick answers, accurate answers, precise answers, and it hinders my abilities in my professional readings, which again, my private work readings, I just more journal and I write about what the cards make me think, and it's good for like exercising my muscles. But I have the luxury of sitting with my cards and journaling. That is not the same work environment when you're doing a professional reading, and especially because I come from the psychic hotlines. We have to be able to spit out the answers quickly, so I tend to vibrate with decks that do that. So like I said, I wish that the cardstock was thicker on that deck, because I love the Melanated Tarot. I love that someone went and took traditional Rider-Waite-Smith imagery and created it where it's beautiful people of melanin, and things like that. So I'm going to try to find a way to make that deck workable for me. I believe she has a second edition, and I'm tempted to see. I think she said she worked on the cardstock on that one. So I'm kind of tempted to go and purchase that and see how that works. I know they have a lot of indie decks that are melanated as well. But my thing is pricing for me, because I don't really want to spend like $200 for a working deck that I know it's going to get beat up and I have to be able to replace. And sometimes indie decks go out of print. And also a lot of the decks that people have suggested are so thick that when I'm doing, again, a time session, I need to be able to work with flexible cardstock, more of like US game cardstock. I tend to like the thinner cardstock, not Llewellyn so much where it just literally chips for no reason, but like a more US games, you know, cardstock is like my favorite. Los Scribble cardstock, my favorite. Because I'm trying to shuffle the cards and get the answers out quickly and things like that. So I would love, when deck creators are making decks, if they could make decks that are more traditional, that are more not so busy all the time. So when somebody wants to read professionally, they have imagery that can relate to them. So that decks that are not always so modern. I'm not the only one. I've talked to other people and they said, yeah, they collect the modern decks more for the artwork, and I collect them more for like, if you're gonna do a diverse deck, I'm gonna support you with my money. But I would love to be able to use some of these decks for professional readings. I just wish they would make decks that were more closer to Rider-Waite-Smith type of the situation, more of a clone, but that has people from various backgrounds and things like that. It's why I've decided to make a deck for myself. I don't know if I'm going to sell this to anybody, but I know what I want to see in a deck, so I think I'm just going to make one for myself for professional readings. That's pretty much what this video is about. Because like I said, I like clean, simple, as close to the original deck as possible. But I would love to see different faces. I would love not to have to assign races, assigned genders or sexual orientation to cards. It would be nice to actually see that in cards, but maybe with not such a modern take, because there are people like me in the community that modern decks they just don't connect with, and so we're forced to use these decks that have absolutely no diversity in them. So, and it's not a self-hating thing. If I can't connect to a deck in that professional level, I'm not going to use it, because I'm not going to take your money like that. So it just gives me a lot of food for thought. I'm going to find a way to, like I said, possibly get the second edition of the Melanated Tarot. I know that there's a backlog. I think she said it'll take about 2 months to get the order in. So I think I'm just going to do that. I'm going to order that and just wait the 2 months and do an honest review here on YouTube. And, you know, if she's improved the cardstock, you know, I would love that. For anybody who's like me, who wants a deck that's very close to Rider-Waite-Smith, that has people that look like us, that has, you know, people of color on it. So that's about it for this video, guys. Much love, much light, much blessings.